Hello, demons, fae, and those in between. This is Dizzy, and I will be continuing A Thing with Wings by PaperPuffin. This will be chapters 22 and 23. Let's go ahead and get started. The ornate gate cracked and splintered under Danny's talons. He was sharp and soft, and feathers and skin, and none of it mattered. He would become the void itself if it meant saving his hummingbird. The thing beyond the gate struggled, even as one arm, leg, claw pinned it to the ground. It struggled, but Danny did not relinquish his grip, even as he lashed out at the next thing, those unnatural things, no longer living but beyond the call of death. The stench of them bit at Danny. Their blood boiled on the stone ground. Their horrific knot cores shattered under his grip. He ended them. He would end all of them for what they had taken. He had their scent now. They would not escape him. He would hunt down every last one of them for even daring to think that they could lay a finger on one of his people. He should show them the death that now watched over Gotham, and he would end them. The things were relentless. They threw themselves at certain death without hesitation. The ones that made it past Danny's arms, legs, claws, tore at his skin. Their gold talons cut into him. His green blood splattered on the stone ground. His screams shattered the air. But he was relentless too. He cut through creature after creature, and then he found something living. There was no knot core to crush under his claws, only flesh and bone and lungs. It was done before he even registered the difference. Good. The second living screamed in the corner, curled and clutching at a golden mask. Phantom stalked closer.
False bird, liar, thief! You took what was mine. For what?
The Count of Owls rules Gotham from shadowed perch. The masked thing stuttered. Ugly, hysterical laughter bubbled under their words. Take care, beware, or we will send a talon for your head.
It is my talons now that hold Gotham.
The laughter bubbled up in one last gurgle of panicked life, and then was gone. In the quiet of the cavern, the only sounds were drips and drops, then a wheeze. Hummingbird, Danny whispered. He rushed towards the sound. Extra limbs disappeared. His form shrank. His other faded as he moved, fell away like molted feathers. He had a head again, though tipped with talons and dusted with feathers, as he reached out and touched Tim's pale cheek. Hummingbird? Danny asked, the name a quiet prayer. No. Tim, sweetheart, baby bird, you gotta keep breathing. You have to keep living. His fingers fluttered over the knife stuck through his hummingbird's chest, the thing that Tim's life was bleeding out around, the thing that was taking what little time Tim had left. Time. Tim, come on, sweetheart, hang on, okay? I'm going to fix this. Just stay alive. Danny turned and carved a scar through the air, splitting reality into swirling green. He ripped the portal open large enough that as he carried Tim through it, cradled so carefully in his arms that nothing bumped or jarred. It would be all right. It just needed more time. Danny, death came this way, Duke said. Someone just flagged me down to tell me about a guy with wings who was in a panic, which, not great that a meta in a hurry in this city is assumed to be a rogue. Dude could have just been late for a meeting. I mean, we know he wasn't. Both trackers have disappeared. Babs cut in. Were they together? Bruce growled. There's too much interference for me to tell for sure, Bab said. But it happened at the same instant. Fuck, Jason growled. No one bothered to reprimand him. We'll go in from all directions and try to triangulate on their last known location, Bruce ordered. Oracle, send out the routes. On it. As Babs worked, Duke touched down in an alley, mostly on gut feeling. It was dark, shadowed, and wrong. So, I think I know why their signals were distorted, Duke said as he stared down at the wrecked gate. They're underground. The Court of Owls has them. Fuck! Signal, do not go in. Wait for Red Hood, he's almost at your location, Babs ordered with clear panic. But, signal, Bruce snapped. Right. Clockwork! Massive gears ticked around them like a relentless heartbeat. Clockwork! Danny screamed. Phantom. Clockwork answered with infuriating calm. Clockwork, you have to save Tim. Turn back time so that the wound... I cannot. What? Of course you can. You've done it before. The nasty burger explosion was about the fate of the world, Clockwork said evenly, and by ensuring that you arrive at the right point in time for what you must become. Right point? Clockwork! Danny clutched Tim tighter. If this is the point, this is where I'm supposed to be in Gotham with Bruce and his family, then how can I let this happen? How can you let Tim die? I cannot save him, Clockwork said again. You must. I think we can say that we're on Danny's trail, Duke said. He reached out and ran his fingers along the grooves that were clawed into the walls of the tunnel. Helps not to get lost, Jason said. He was glad his emotions were hidden by the modulation of his helmet. Oracle, are you getting any of this? Pieces, she replied, but even her reply was slightly garbled. It gets worse the farther you go, which matches with what we saw with Tim and Danny. Be prepared to lose contact at some point. Understood. Jason and Duke both chirped before the comm line went quiet again. It gave space for Jason to say, If you see anything I wouldn't, speak up. Sure, Duke agreed. Nothing so far except for, residual Danny-ness. It's hard to explain. Jason hummed to show that he had heard. Whatever the court does, I really don't get. I mean, at least not yet. But, I haven't gone up against them and their talons or anything, Duke continued. He was babbling a little, but Jason wasn't going to tell the kid to be quiet. It was a stressful moment, and with them following Danny's unsettled progress, it's not like surprise was going to be on their side anyway. Jason just hoped there was a chance of still finding them alive. He was trying hard not to think about what it would mean otherwise. Of Bruce breaking again. Of Dick breaking himself. Of the rest of the family who all became part of the family after. Jason gave a little shake of his head to clear it. He would deal with the after, whatever that may bring. What? I can't do something like that. If I could save him, I would have saved him. I wouldn't be here begging. If you knew, Clockwork interrupted. He brushed his fingers over Tim's clammy forehead. What? You would have saved him if you knew that you could, Clockwork said, without explaining anything. I can't. You couldn't. You can, Clockwork insisted. You are not what you were, Danny Phantom. You have started to awaken into what you were always meant to be. Think, Danny Phantom. At your deepest part of your core, what are you? Danny stared down at Tim, pale and dying in his arms. His wings cradled the boy. His wings. Hope. I'm hope. They had gotten quiet when they appeared to be approaching the end of the tunnel. Jason had insisted on taking the lead. Duke let him. Jason was more experienced after all, and he had guns. Turned out, there wasn't a need. It was carnage. Oracle, do you read me? Jason asked. Barely. I'm trying to boost the signal, came the fragmented reply. Or at least that's what Duke thought she said. We found something. No sign of the captives, but there are a lot of talons that aren't putting themselves back together. Putting themselves back together? Duke, well, squeaked, if he was being honest. He cleared his throat and tried not to look at the shattered bodies. What do you mean, putting themselves back together? Talons are sort of immortal, Jason explained. Not that they're alive. Being dead is a pretty big part of being a Talon. Problem is, being dead doesn't stop them. Okay, well that's horrifying. Jason made an agreeing noise. Duke left Jason to checking over the carnage. There was an ornate plinth in the middle of the room. It felt ceremonial. It felt medical. It was washed in blood. It was going to bring one hell of a migraine later, but Duke concentrated on the moments around the slab. Tim. A man in an owl mask. A knife. Danny. Danny with wings and white hair and glowing green. Signal! Duke sucked in a breath of air and blinked at Red Hood's emotionless mask. They stabbed Tim. Danny got to him. I don't know what happened after. Was Tim alive? I don't know. Tim's eyes flew open. Danny ran taloned fingers carefully through Tim's now white hair. It's okay, Hummingbird, Danny whispered. I'm so sorry, but I promise it's going to be okay. That was the end of chapter 22, and I'm trying to contain the sheer excitement because if what's about to happen is going to happen, I'm very excited. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on to chapter 23. The blood matches Tim's. It wasn't surprising. It was horrifying and heart-stopping, but it wasn't surprising. Both the knife and the slab? Bruce asked, because he needed to be absolutely sure. Yes. Bruce closed his eyes and breathed. No, their tunnels. Dick cut in and out through the comms. Nightwing, Red Hood, back above ground, Bruce ordered. Like Jason's vehement protest crackled through. Back above ground. You are off tracker. The court will know soon. They could close off tunnels, Bruce growled. You could be lost, Bruce doesn't say. They could take you, kill you, change you. But he should say. Jason wouldn't listen if he didn't understand. Bruce had made that mistake once, and he could it again. I can't lose you. I can't lose you, not again. Not you too. Silence filled the air, then, eddying up, Bruce breathed out. They would regroup and look at what they had. Dick and Jason would come back with scans of the room. Duke and Steph were canvassing hospitals and clinics. Damien and Cass scoured the streets. They had almost no information, but they had worked with less. If they had to interrogate every known member of the court, they would. They would find them. Sir, Alfred said, calm tones rolling over the line. You have a call on your personal number. Unknown caller. Bruce tensed. Hope battled with panic. Are the comms absolutely secure? I'm cutting Nightwing and Red Hood off your branch to be certain, Barber said. They're still in my ear. Put it through, Bruce ordered. Bruce. Danny. It was Danny. He sounded wrecked in a way that Bruce was struggling not to focus on, to catastrophize on. Focus. There was an odd echo to the call. Triangulating, Barbara said through her line. Danny, is Tim? He's with me. I have him, Danny said quickly. Bruce, it was bad. He's stabilizing now. It will be okay, just hard. It'll be hard for a bit. A million scenarios ran through Bruce's mind. Hard covered so much, especially when it was said like that, like a world had just fallen apart. I am so sorry, Bruce, Danny continued, words spilling out of him. I didn't protect him. It was just brunch. We were just eating brunch. He went to wash his hands. Danny, Bruce interrupted. Are you okay? Am I okay? If he would let us treat his wounds, maybe. Someone shouted from the background of Danny's call. Danny sighs, and the call crackled. I am not the priority here. Tim is. Bruce's mind spun. The green. Still an unidentified substance, Barbara said, voice quiet and even. Yes? Danny sounded rightfully surprised. Batman's team has been in contact, Bruce lied. How much longer could they keep lying? Silence. Right, I've said that I've been a meta since I was 14, that the wings are a new thing. Yes, you have, Bruce agreed. That is the green blood being able to save Tim. This is about what I've been since I was 14. You bleed red. I've seen it. I bleed red when I'm in my human form. Okay, Bruce breathed. Okay, where are you? Where are you and Tim? With my doctor. Who he won't let work on him. Which is a part of the whole thing about me. Okay, Bruce breathed. You know that we've never thought anything badly about you being a metter. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're both safe. It might matter, Danny said, an edge of hysterics slipped into his voice. It doesn't. I just need you both to be safe, Bruce said. Breathe. Be honest. And I need to see you and Tim. Yes, of course. I can send a friend to the manor to... No, it'll have to be my place. I can send my friend to my place to get you, any of you. Danny paused. Okay, well, my doctor says not too many of you. Tim needs rest. Of course, Bruce agreed. You're going to have to fight for those spots, Barbara added. Just, my friend... Danny sighed. Please don't be freaked out when a werewolf comes through a glowing green portal. What? Wow, Danny wasn't kidding. They're literally a werewolf, Dick said. Wolf, the werewolf said, with a claw pointed at their chest. Bruce, my son Dick, and my daughter Cass, Bruce replied with a motion to each of his children. It had nearly turned into a bloodbath to see who would come with him to wherever was beyond the portal. Alfred had stepped in with cookies and the order to think logically. Damien was too young, as much as he argued otherwise. Jason, with a look to Dick, grudgingly accepted that he had responsibility and a fort to hold down. Duke wasn't sure how his powers would react. Steph said she'd wait to chew Tim out later. Barbara just gave a wan little smile and cited accessibility concerns. Cass had simply stood by Bruce, like her spot was assured. Dick had given Jason a grateful hug and joined them. And now the three of them were standing in front of a glowing green portal opened by a werewolf named Wolf. We're with you, Dick said. Bruce squeezed Dick's shoulder briefly. I know. Thank you. They had already spoken about the fact that while they trusted Danny, they were still traveling through a portal to an unknown location. They needed to stay alert and be ready for anything. They needed to be bats. For a little longer, they needed to be bats instead of family. Bruce brushed a hand along Cass's arm and headed for the portal. In his time as a hero, Bruce had been through too many portals. This one felt like stepping through ice water and left Bruce's hands tingling. When the blinding green cleared, they were standing in a white room that, while inhuman in nature, was clearly a hospital of some sort. All hospitals felt a little the same. Wolf stepped through after them, the portal sealing up like a tear in fabric being stitched up. With a motion for them to wait, the werewolf disappeared through a door. It's like they don't know how bad at waiting we are, Dick said as he started to look around the room. And it's freezing in here. It's called the Far Frozen for a reason. Danny. Or at least it had to be Danny, even as different as he looked. It was as if his hair and wings had been inverted in color. Both hair and feathers drifted off as if ending in smoke. His skin was tinged what should be a worrying blue, and he glowed faintly even in the bright room. Danny smiled nervously. Wolf, or one of the Yeti, and yes, really Yeti, will be getting you all coats so that you can be more comfortable here. Danny, Bruce said again. He crossed the space so that he could reach out and touch Danny's cheek. A glowing green line cut through one of Danny's eyes. The bright green iris was cloudy. "Are you all right? Was this one of your wounds?" Danny took Bruce's hand, wrapping their fingers together and pulling them away from his face. "It's nothing, just those... the ones that were dead, but not allowed to rest. They could hurt me in any of my forms. I should be able to heal, though." "He should, if he lets himself rest and continue to be treated," said the, Yeti, Bruce could only assume, that came through the door that Wolf had left by. The Yeti carried a pile of fur. "This is Frostbite," Danny said, motioning with their still clasped hands. "My doctor, and the leader of the Yeti here in the Far Frozen." "Not that it makes Phantom listen to what I have to say," the Yeti grumbled, and passed a fur coat to Cass. "I listen plenty," Danny sighed, "but Tim was more important." A coat was handed to Dick next. "Yes, it is easy to see you would feel strongly about your little bird." Bruce listened to them debate, but something tugged at his mind. Something was wrong. It wasn't a threat or danger, but it was wrong enough to set Bruce on edge. Something was... "Danny," Bruce said slowly as he looked down at their joined hands, "you don't have a pulse." "Oh," Danny shrugged. "No, I don't. Not like this." Danny didn't... he wasn't... A fur coat was pressed into Bruce's hands. Frostbite smiled gently. "Perhaps we should go somewhere more comfortable for this discussion." As soon as he had his coat on, Bruce found Danny's hand again. They followed Frostbite through frozen halls to what Bruce assumed was a writing room of some sort. The seats were massive and fur-covered. Before she sat, Cass came over and took Danny's hand from Bruce, clearly feeling for a pulse herself. "It's okay, Anhinga. I'll explain, and then we'll go see Tim, okay?" Cass frowned, but gave a little nod and took a seat next to Dick, who wrapped an arm around her. Bruce, reluctant to let Danny go far, took the seat across from them so that he could keep Danny's hand. Frostbite gave a nod towards Danny and left through the next door. No one spoke. A million thoughts ran through Bruce's mind. "Bruce," Danny finally started, "do you believe in ghosts?" "Yes," Bruce replied easily. Gotham was too haunted by the dead not to. Bruce was too haunted by his past not to. Besides, there was Deadman. Then he squeezed Bruce's hand. His fingers were cold. "My parents are ectobiologists. They study ghosts. It's been their life passion for... ever, really. It consumed them. Their friend, our home, my childhood. We even lived in the most haunted city in America. Their lab was in the basement of our home. One of my chores as a kid was to clean and change the filters on the machines. Dealing with it all the time made me plenty lax in lab safety. Well, growing up with them did. They even stored samples in our kitchen fridge. It was hardly a safe environment. When I was older, I realized that things had been bad. Danny fell quiet, gaze on the floor. Bruce wanted to protect Danny, protect him from the memories, from the dangers long past, from the hurt that still lingered. He wanted to protect Danny from everything he couldn't actually protect Danny from. Instead, he prompted, "Your accident was in that lab, wasn't it?" "Yes," Danny answered with a sigh. "My parents were working on a portal to the ghost zone, as they called it. It didn't work, of course, like most of their inventions. My friends and I, well, we were stupid 14-year-olds. My one friend, Sam, dared me to go inside the portal for a picture. I've run over 1,000 times what exactly happened. Was it just the switch I hit? Was there a short? Was there a wire I bumped? Well, the portal turned on, and I was electrocuted to death." Bruce's grip tightened on Danny's hand. Breathe. He had felt Danny's pulse. He had seen Danny bleed. He knew that Danny was alive. Did he? Danny's hand was cold. There was no pulse. "Bruce, hey, come on, focus on me. I'm right here, all right?" "I'm fine," Bruce lied. "Yeah, you can't get away with that here. Ghosts are sensitive to emotions," Danny said. "Even half ghosts." I died, but at the same time, the ectoplasm from the portal revived me. I basically became Schrodinger's cat. I'm alive and dead at the same time. And that works because of the two forms? Dick asked, probably so that Bruce didn't have to. Danny nodded. Exactly. You all have known me in my human form. It's the form that I'm in almost always these days, for a number of reasons. This is my ghost form, which, before you ask, the wings are here too. After I turned into a, giant bird for the first time, I came to see frostbite. When I transformed, I had wings. I never expected to have them in my human form also. It's been a lot. Phantom? Cass asked. The name I'm known by here. Ghosts tend to take a new name, though not all do. But I also was... Danny sighs and slumps a little against Bruce's shoulder. I was a teenage vigilante, which sounds like a bad alt-rock pop song, I know, but I was. Bruce froze. Dick froze too, for just a moment, and then a slow grin formed. No. Yes? Danny answered, confused. Dick looked at Bruce. The grin was now dangerous. Bruce sighed heavily. Danny sat up. What am I missing? Our loving father has a type, Dick explained deceptively angelically, and that type is vigilante. Or anti-hero, Cass added. Dick nodded. Or anti-hero, but a type nonetheless. We thought that you might be a good change of pace for him, but here we find out he's fallen back into old habits. Cass tisked disappointingly. Bruce sighed again and covered his face. So you see, Dick continued, we can never let him live this down. Wait, is that phrase offensive here? Live this down, I mean? Danny chuckled. I think you'll be okay. The Yeti are good people. Endless teasing it is. Or we could let Danny finish his story, Bruce said, so that we can go see Tim. Right, Danny said, tone serious again. Teenage vigilante, someone had to stop the ghost escaping from the portal. My psychopathic godfather, who is also a half-ghost, and to do some light time traveling. Time traveling, Bruce repeated. Danny was going to turn him into a ghost from the shock at this rate. Danny hummed. My mentor is Clockwork, an ancient of time. Ancients are beings who are embodiments of an idea or concept. Some of them were living beings once and became ancients. Others were never born. They existed with the idea of it. Sounds powerful, Cass said. They are extremely so, Danny agreed. He took such a deep breath that Bruce felt the need to squeeze Danny's hand in reassurance of whatever was to come. And part of this transformation of mine is my own path to becoming an ancient. What do you mean? Bruce asked, working hard to keep his voice gentle. New powers, this new form. Ghosts are malleable. Change is expected, though at a much more glacial pace. Ghosts aren't always granted a forever, but even an almost forever is long enough that things can take their time. Things are moving more quickly for me because of the fact that I am half alive, Danny explained. So, what are you the ancient of? Dick asked into the resulting silence. Danny quirked a crooked smile. Hope. I'm hope. Bruce squeezed Danny's hands again. It fits. I don't know about that, Tim said, but it allowed me to save Tim, so I'm embracing it. Tim's name was a fresh chill down Bruce's spine. Dots were connecting. Tim was dying, Danny said with brutal efficiency. Tim was dying. I brought him here to hope that Clockwork could reverse the process of it, but he couldn't or wouldn't. But it turned out that I could, with a cost. Danny stood and gave Bruce's hand a little tug. Bruce didn't want to follow. He wanted answers. He needed answers. But he stood. He followed Danny this far. He just had to follow a little longer. They went through the far door into a cavernous space. Yeti worked at consoles scattered through the room. In the center was a biotube. It was elevated off the ground by a metal base by a few feet. The liquid inside was green. Floating in the liquid was Tim. Tim with white hair. Tim with small scarlet wings. Denny's eyes were locked on the tube. All I could do was pour my power into Tim as he died. I revived him as he was dying. I revived him. He's like me now. A halfa. I'm sorry, Bruce, but I couldn't save him all the way. This concludes a reading of A Thing with Wings by PaperPuffin, chapters 22 and 23. Oh my god! I knew it! When I got to the end of that last chapter, I was like, oh, his hair is white? Ooh! Ooh! I know what this is! I'm really sorry, that was probably really loud. But you can't see it. I'm smiling ear to ear. I'm so excited. And the fact that Tim has little wings is so cute! Yeah, I'm just really excited. This was great. I am so happy. It kind of sucks. I mean, like, Bruce dealing with all of his bullshit is probably not going to have a great time with this, considering, you know, death is not a great part of his entire thing. But the fact that that Danny was able to still save Tim in any way he could, I think Bruce is going to be grateful for. But it's so sweet. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm talking to a cat. I'm just like, oh, little kitty. Anyway, if you can't tell, I really enjoyed reading these two chapters. But please do share your own thoughts on these chapters, and don't forget to reach out to the original author, linked in the description, to express your thanks. In addition, let me know if you have any recommendations. I'm always looking to add to my horde. I actually did get permission to read a Dr. Stone fanfic. It's shorter than the original one the original fanfic I was going to read after this. It's only got 1 or 2 chapters. I don't remember how much, but it is definitely shorter than the fic I was originally planning to read. So I'm actually going to read that in the in-between just to give you guys more content, so I'm not constantly leaving you guys on cliffhangers. But yeah, that's the plan for now. And of course, thank you so much to listening to this Dragon's Horde.